What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Honest Tattooer podcast, brought to you by Tattoo Smart and Tattoo Pro. My name is Jon Mesa, and I'm with my co-host, Matt Truiano.
Hey, how you doing?
Our homie G Money.
What up, guys?
And two very special guests, which we had last week, because this is part 2 from last week. So, Elliot, welcome back.
Hello.
And Joe, welcome back.
What's happening last week tonight?
Last week tonight. That's pretty good, actually. I like that. So we were touching about a lot of things last week.
Fuck, we were talking about a lot of things 2 seconds ago.
I know, but to these guys, time passed.
Time passed, and unfortunately, you missed all the meaty shit. That's but not for nothing. That's the best part. Like, so when I talked about doing my podcast, I talked about doing a Patreon. And the thing is, when I do your podcast, I tend to say some off color.
You know, Joe, I was thinking the same thing. When we were at your shop, you were very mellow.
Yeah,
you were very like just
chill.
But here's the thing: when
you're here, you're off the walls.
When I do my podcast, it's not about me. It's not about me. My podcast is about.
This was not about you either.
Here's the problem. When I'm in somebody else's home, you got no fucking choice. You invited me in. You let me in. So go fuck yourself. Shit's happening.
Now, if you can picture a Nosferatu remake.
Exactly. It's like I'm like a fucking I'm a fat vampire. Just like, really? You just let me in? It's on. When you come to my house, I want you to talk. It's not about me. You know what I mean? But again, like I get, oh God, it's so hard. I don't want to be that guy on my own thing because I want people to, I'd rather people act out. You know, on my thing versus me being the one who's the big, the loudmouth.
Yeah.
And I've been called out on my podcast as being like, man, this guy don't fucking shut up. But it's at some point you do have things you need to say, so you have to say it. You know what I mean?
Agree.
Yeah.
And when I come on these podcasts, I tend to act out a little bit more because there are trigger words. There are things that you get wound the fuck up about that you can't help yourself but to fucking say. I tend to avoid those on my own podcast.
And I feel like when you're doing a pod and you're in a position where you're the one asking the questions, you know?
Yes, exactly.
You're being more inquisitive. You're letting people kind of like, you know, let their voice be heard and like stuff like that. So I completely understand that. 'Cause sometimes I'm like, oh man, I want to just like get people talking and about things that I think intrigue me, and other people will be interested as well.
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
I mean, I noticed that even when it's just us three and one other guest, I rarely say anything at all. And usually it's the guest who's talking. But when it's just the three of us with no guests, I wind up talking a lot.
Well, you were actually really quiet on my podcast.
Yeah.
Like I expected you to be a bit more.
Oh, on your podcast?
Yeah, on mine. And there were things that you had brought up that I'm like, yeah, man, say it. Like I want to hear it. Like because I want to hear people that are that have something at odds to what I say. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, no exaggeration. Like since I've done the last podcast on this one, on yours, like I still get tagged in shit with people just talking shit about like, the things I had to say. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they didn't take the time to see or hear the entire bit of what was being said.
Yeah.
And they're just going off on that. And then there are the individuals that probably did hear most of it and still don't want to hear what I had to say, and they can go fuck themselves. Yeah. Because I really don't give a shit. That's not what this is about. It's like I'm saying what I have to say. You can say what you have to say. Say it in the comments. And I purposely didn't respond to a lot of the comments because I'm like, oh, that's just they get the opportunity to say something back, whatever. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Man, so last time that we spoke, you know, we talked about me coming back from Paradise Gathering. And honestly, since I came back from it, and I've always been kind of like weary about like tattoo events and stuff like that. But man, I got one thing out of there that I've been implementing into my work.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what this is.
I'm not going to say what it is. I don't
Why
think.
not?
Those are the secrets that he paid for.
Well, I'll say I paid for that. I'm not going to get it out. But I will say.
You got one?
Well, I think
You
that.
go rent these secrets.
20 minutes of yoga stretches before
Well,
he starts tattooing.
That would make sense in the day and age we live in.
Man, but I got, you know, an approach to doing shading that I'd never done that before. And after doing it and like applying it into my work, now it's become something I do all the time.
Who was this given by?
And it was given by Cooper. He goes by The Superstition on Instagram. He tattoos in Colorado now. Before that, he worked at Guru Tattoo in San Diego.
Oh, in San Diego. Is it just Cooper? Or is
Cooper.
I'm trying to think, because I just saw somebody who lives in Colorado now. It was from San Diego as well, but I don't think it's the same name. I don't think it's Cooper. What was the? Are you not going to talk about the technique or?
So the technique that he does is this hex pattern shading technique, and one of the things that he kind of gave in that was about. I hate talking about stuff like this because I don't want people to try to do it and shit that don't, belong in tattooing, trying to do like wild stuff like that. But they're gonna try it anyways. Yeah. But it's about using a mag, almost like if you're using like cross hatching techniques, and just kind of dragging mags very slowly. Your machine is running super slow, super steady, and you really need to have a nice steady hand and like good solid technique to be able to pull these things off.
I'll be honest with you, I'd rather see that than this fucking like tight 3 fucking. And you sit there, as a tattooer, you watch it and you go, "Wow, that just took you fucking 5 times as long as you could have."
10 hours with a tight 3.
Exactly. Why don't you not use a 7 mag or a fucking?
They've made better.
And that's the thing. You can look at it from the perspective of like, let's pretend that you didn't learn how to fucking tattoo online, or on Instagram, and you fucking used a little bit of thought and good. Well, there's a tight 3, or I can just use a fucking 9 mag. And do the exact same thing, which is pretty much what you're talking about. Am I wrong? Am I like?
Well, I don't know about the tight 3 stuff because I don't really approach it like I don't do any super tight.
Oh, what the fuck ever! Last couple
like
times
that.
I've seen you've used fucking liners to fucking shade stuff.
Well, yeah, but like not like a giant field of black. Like,
black is wild, one thing. Dude. Like, I mean, if you're doing like the whole cross hatching,
cross hatching thing. And stuff
you
like
can do that with a fucking liner.
Yeah, you can do that with a liner.
You could do it with a shader. As a matter of fact, DJ, Ink Master, fucking Judge, and fucking 9 times fucking winner. Like he did a cross hatching, like, or it was something about lining and shading and whatever, where he used a Magnum, and a lot of people were pissed because he used his mag to do these cross hatch lines, and it's like, dude, that's smart. Like,
it is smart.
That makes fucking sense. Using a fucking liner to lay out all these fucking lines is fucking ignorant.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. What he did made sense. What other people did doesn't, and that's how I feel about half the shit we see online.
If you're a tattoo artist who uses an iPad, you're going to want to watch this. Since 2016, Tattoo Smart has been curating an incredible collection of digital flash. We work with the best artists in every style to make reference material that you can use to save time and make your clients happy. Now's your chance to fill your iPad with Tattoo Smart's digital tools. Everything is 60% off this Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
We're dropping prices lower than ever before.
So make sure you log in at tattoosmart.com and fill your cart with our best-selling flash, toolkits, and 3D body parts.
My name is Jamie Snedeker, and I'm the owner of Southernmost Tattoo. Some of the issues that I ran into before using Tattoo Pro were not having all of my systems in one place. I knew I needed something different than what I was using, so I started searching for tattoo-specific software and ran into Tattoo Pro. Set up a consult, and within a day, they contacted me, and within a week, I was set up. Scheduling, release forms, payroll, artist schedule, client information, and now it's all in one place.
Since we started using Tattoo Pro, our workflow has improved dramatically. No more scheduling mishaps, and our clients love the easy online booking. It's literally helped us grow the business.
With Tattoo Pro, we've doubled our revenue in the last year, and we've increased our staff by 4 artists. If you're considering using Tattoo Pro, it's a no-brainer. It'll give you more time to do the things that you love, such as tattooing and running your business. Call and set up a demo today. You won't regret it.
We all know as tattooers, and this is going to piss a fucking ton of people off because apparently that's all I know how to do. But the fact is when you do this kind of like single needle cross hatching work, it eventually all turns gray.
Yes.
Like, or it just turns to a pile of shit.
Or it turns into a pile of shit.
Which the hope is it turns to gray. So all you people who've gotten these fucking, single needle new school tattoos, whatever you want to call it, hopefully your shit turns gray, not.
Which is kind of like what we talked about last week about longevity of a tattoo. Yeah. And I think like the thing is about knowing what's going to happen to those cross hatching lines. So as soon as I came back, I had a huge leg piece, and that's something that I think it's funny when I've heard friends of mine say like, oh, I bought this new machine, but I'm not going to use it yet until I have somebody that I know to use this new. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just fucking use that shit right now. Like, just use it, and I think every time we do a tattoo, it's not that you're experimenting with everybody you're tattooing, but you are trying things out as you're kind of going along, and
personally, I go for a Hail fucking Mary. And
yeah, you're like, I'm going for the fucking wall, bro. Every time I'm trying to kill it, I'm like, I've never tattooed this before. We're going to go for it.
Yeah.
So, but having somebody that's been doing a technique for a long time, has seen things heal, and can tell you this is the outcome if you do this, does make you feel better about trying something. And I used his approach. And man, I saw this thing come back healed, and it was so smooth, and none of the cross hatching marks were there. Everything was just like butter.
Yeah.
These grays were so soft. I was like, damn.
Shit settles.
And that shit settled so well.
I want to say guys like Bob Terrell, a lot of the older black and gray tattooers, it was more about the cross hatching and the layering of black shading. That really is what brought their stuff to the forefront. It wasn't about like gray shading. It was really about layering these blacks. You know what I mean? And again, I can't say that.
more of an exercise in like value and tone rather than
yeah,
exactly.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly. And that's something that I think
the high contrast is what made their work.
Oh yeah.
I think the high contrast is even more prevalent now. But having said that, I wonder what a lot of the stuff we see nowadays is going to look like in 2 or 3 years because of the amount of black.
You both.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of black and not black that we see.
Yeah.
But then the amount of black and light gray. I mean, dude, how many people do you see taking photos of like the entire image in with these filtered fucking cameras where everything is like that to that degree, where it's black and white?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You wonder where that's going to end up, what that looks like. I mean, I just want to see the stuff.
Is this the polarizing lens?
Yeah,
filter?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I've said this before. I had a guy who came in looking for work, and my whole thing was, hey, man, I need to see your work without a polarized film. I want to see your stuff without a fucking filter.
Let me see some heel tattoos.
But to get his credit, he brought the stuff in, he brought photos in, and he brought 1 or 2 people in where I got to see the work in person, and it was phenomenal.
Yes.
It was beautiful. So having said that, like, I know it exists, but I want to see it before I sign up for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Well, we've said it a bunch of times that often those filters can make a bad tattoo look worse.
Yeah, but it can make a shit tattoo look great.
I don't know.
Really?
There's a fine line. There is a fine
There's a fine line. Yeah, I would say there's a fine line.
I think it's more on the side of the...
I think, like, for example, you showed me a tattoo the other day that it was like from that guy that did the dragon with the yellows and the greens and shit.
Oh, is
like
that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one that the big thigh tattoo? It's just all...
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
It's all
flame
mid-tones
track.
almost.
Yeah.
all midtones everywhere.
midtones.
So that same guy posted a tattoo recently, and it's like this, like a dead person kind of like,
Yeah, it's like a zombie.
like a zombie kind of character. And I mean, if you take that tattoo and you just turn it black and gray, you're like, oh shit, that shit's done. Like, and I think that's a easy trick to see if there's any contrast in any tattoo. There's nothing black and gray because it's all these colors.
Yeah.
If you turn it black and gray, it looks just so flat. And then like, I was explaining it to a client the other day. I'm like, because they showed me a tattoo that looked, fuck, what is this called? It looks almost like all the prism colors, you know, like the blue, yellow,
Oh right.
It's like pearlescent.
pearlescent. Right. And they asked me like, does this work? And I'm like, and it had a bunch of it didn't have any outlines or anything. It looked like a light streak on a prism. And I'm like, you know what? I was like, honestly, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. All of those colors, they don't age the same way.
No.
They're not going to interact with the sun the same way. And for this to work, they would all have to remain that way forever.
Which
and
you know is never going to
it's
happen.
never
It's
going to
not.
happen.
It's just not.
And then he understood. He was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, you know? But most people that look at a cool tattoo online don't know any of that. They don't know that there's been a polarizing filter.
So
they don't know that any of these rules that tattooers know. And that's why like tattooers look at some stuff and they're like, oh, that's crap. And they just keep on moving.
Yeah, Matt made a good point that a lot of the stuff that people see is literally something that's not going to be good for them.
Yeah.
Like it's not educational for them at all. All they see is that and they assume, oh, that makes sense. But they don't realize that it doesn't. And they're not going to, because that's all they see. They never see 6 months down the line on the street like on the streets. You know what I mean? All they see is a filtered photo.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It kind of sells the client short on what they should know the tattoo is going to look like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But even an unfiltered photo, the client's not going to know what it looks like 6 months down the road if they're just looking at the photo that the artist posted.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is you're still looking at a good photo. Like you're looking at a photo of what it's going to look like. Like when I look at my hands from the two fellows I've been tattooed by, I look at both those tattoos and I go, oh yeah, those both look amazing when they were first tattooed. When you look at them now, they don't look the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you look at it 5-7 years down the line, you go, oh, that definitely looks better. But the fact of the matter is one still gets more praise because of the bullshit. Because I don't think it makes a better tattoo. It just looks more appealing to the eye, but it's not a better tattoo. And it's aging worse as it ages. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say
So is that the same thing that we talked about, like certain artists doing certain tattoos become more like a designer brand?
Yes.
It could be cheaply made in a fucking sweatshop because of the brand on it, because of the logo on it. It's suddenly a better tattoo than something that some guys.
Well, but that's the world we're in right now.
But that's exactly what's happened with your hands.
Yeah,
like that one has got way more.
It's got more props. It's got more props based on, but I don't think it's based on the image itself. I think it's it's more based on the image than the person who did it. And again, I did that on purpose. Like, that's the image I want on that arm.
But either way, that goes to show it's the same thing, regardless of who did it or the image or like what's popular, what's going to be striking. Yeah. It's that there's a thing about it that takes away from the more technically
but dude, we live in a world where cyber sigilism is a fucking thing that somebody somehow has not sat back and gone, did I just get fucking banged up? Did somebody just fuck my arm up? I don't know who
it was, but I told you the story. I was in a convention and I overheard a conversation of a very, very, very young tattooer getting very bent out of shape because they believe they came up with cyber sigilism and they were copying them.
I made up.
It's my idea.
I made this up.
Wait,
you know what?
I invented the piano key necktie. What did you do? What did you do?
Tattoo armor is literally the best way to wrap your client. I've been using it. Matt's been using it, and it's just awesome. There's no mess, there's no glue, and it's just super comfortable. I hope you can try it for yourself and just go on to Tattoo Armor and use the code Honest Tattooer for 20% off your order.
After I got the chance to sit down with Matt and Jon on the Honest Tattooer podcast, the Force of Focus got amazing feedback when it comes to the Hello to Healed process, networking strategies, and most of all, creating your own personal brand and culture. So I want to give you the opportunity to take 15% off by coming to join the Force of Focus arena. Now, this is a community of high-achieving tattoo artists who are all here for one reason: to be around like-minded individuals who all want to grow not only in our personal lives, but within our businesses. We're going to walk with you side by side to build out every system you could ever imagine to not only ensure the fact you're on the right path, but how to be able to see your dream life and then achieve it. Now, I have a laundry list of artists who have been able to achieve their dreams, and if you're ready to do the same, click the link below and let's get a conversation going.
Yeah, but that's a thing. That's the crazy thing. It just takes one person to say it.
I remember doing my first bit of tribal too, and it was sucked.
Oh yeah, no.
Maybe I invented cyber sigilism.
Right?
Maybe I'm reinventing it right now.
I think one of the things about tattooers that know how tattoos age, usually they tend to be very tattooed themselves, and they've seen enough of like I've got tattooed by so many people, like some realism artists, some like traditional, some Japanese artists. And I've gotten to see all these tattoos age 10, 12 years on myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wow, I don't want to do that because I don't want my work to end up looking like this later. Like, I remember what this looked like the day of.
Dude.
And I know what it looks like now.
And considering that you're also not the type that's just like out 365 a year, like baking out in some sun somewhere. Like, you take care of your skin.
I work indoors, baby.
So basically, you're
John lotions every day.
I lotion every day. Yeah.
You can smell the coke.
I'm looking at your knees right now. Like, damn, you got some ashy
Ashy,
knees.
Bro, listen, bro. If you're not upkeeping, I get it. This is what happens, folks. Look, zoom into this.
But that is a big deal. I mean, so I remember years and years and years ago going to a convention at Guy Aitchison. Like I'm on one side of the convention center, like the floor, and I see Guy, and I know Guy. I mean, I don't know him at that time. At that time, I just knew who he was. I didn't know him personally, and I just see him, and he's coming at me, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, kind of moving. Like,
is he really eyeing me?
Maybe he's not coming at me, but this cocksucker's got his fucking eye set on me. And he literally comes at me and he grabs my arm and he sees the ledger tattoo.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God. He's like, who did your arm? This is amazing. I'm like, oh, it's Mike Ledger from New York. And he's like, oh my God, this is incredible, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, cool, thanks. You know, this is back in 98, I think, you know? And I'm like, oh, cool, man. That's fantastic, you know? And until this day, I mean, my arm is still.
That thing looks so solid.
Yeah.
And this is freaking wild.
Never been touched up. Like, actually, none of my arms have been touched up. But again, I think that's the quality of the tattooer. You know, I mean, granted, I don't go out in the sun. I don't do much. I tattoo all summer long, so I'm never out in the sun, you know. But that's the testament to the tattooer and what they do. It's not a matter of trying to, my hands are a matter of like trying to create something that maybe shouldn't be done. You know, but my forearms are more about like just doing a great tattoo. And that's the difference to a lot of what's going on. And again, I'm not knocking anybody. The fact of the matter is I made a name for myself by not doing what everybody else did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I made a name for myself by pushing boundaries and just trying to be me, staying within the realm of tattooing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But still breaking rules and fucking up and whatever. And that's how you get better. You know what I mean? I think when you ignore everything that came before, that's when things get a little dicey. And that's where where people can go, yeah, you fucked up, man. Tough shit.
Well, I think that's the problem with a lot of the work that's, getting done by like tattooers that are younger and they're just tattooing with like the ego of somebody that's been tattooing for 20 years. Yeah. And they're like, I know that this is going to be perfect in like 10 years. And you're like, how can you even know?
You don't know what goddamn.
You don't even know.
And we never did. Like even back then when we did stuff, like if somebody said to us, that's never going to last, you went, fuck off.
Yeah.
And then but you couldn't help but sit back and go, maybe he's not. But again, you have to look at it from that perspective. And again, back in my day when people were doing all that crazy new school stuff and everybody said, you're just doing that for the photo. You don't give a fuck about the tattoo. You care about the photo. And that is something that is literally has been a thing in this business for 30 fucking years. In the entire time I've been here, it's more about the photo. It's more about getting into the portfolio, not so much into the magazine anymore because we don't have magazines, but it's more about getting it online than it is about getting it a good tattoo. When I did the Brooklyn convention 2 years ago, I did the judging. The first thing I asked anybody, when I walked up to a tattoo and I saw something that I was genuinely impressed by, the first question I asked was, how old's the tattoo? And 9 times out of 10, that tattoo was less than 7 months old. And I say 7 because that was the highest amount of time for most of the tattoos, with the exception of a handful. And they looked years old. And I remember talking to Rich Montgomery, who was judging with us. And he was like, oh, did you see that tattoo with the fucking lion? I'm like, tattoo's 6 months old. And he looked at me and goes, what? I'm like, ask him how old the tattoo is.
Yeah.
When you walk around the next round, ask him how old his tattoo is. And he did. He goes, 6 months old. The tattoo looks fucking 7 years old. And I'm like, exactly. Like that's the whole thing. I mean, I do tattoos literally I do tattoos that I look at and I go, I did stuff that I knew I cut corners. I did things that trying to make it look the way the person wanted it to look, knowing that it's not going to be good. And I feel bad about doing that, but that's kind of the situation we're in right now.
Yeah.
Where people expect something.
But it's like what we were saying earlier, it's all a learning curve. Like I tried to wildly change style. I'm back at the beginning of that learning curve. Like we're all going to go through those little transitionary stages.
Yeah.
But it's having the the humility to have that, like, okay, that didn't work.
Yeah.
That's not working.
Taking accountability of, I tried something.
Yeah.
It didn't work as expected.
Yeah.
Let's do that
But not
again.
to have, like you were saying, the ego of like, fuck you, I know that will work.
Yeah.
What do
Well,
you
so that
fucking
I
know?
think that's part of the thing. Like, I think the beating I take as an outspoken
a pariah, maybe.
not a pariah.
Some, others would say,
a pariah. What the fuck ever. But as an
couldn't help
outspoken individual who tends to point things out is the fact that when I say something like that, it's like they automatically assume like, well, you're just down on everything. And I'm like, no, I'm not down on everything, dude. I'm just telling you should keep an eye out of what's happening.
I mean, I'm going to throw my favorite word out there: gatekeeping.
Oh,
Gatekeeping.
that's a trigger
the
word.
capital G.
A trigger word.
Yeah, it's true. People get so mad. But it's like, man, if you can't look at your own work with a critical eye and be your own harshest critic, you're never going to get better.
Oh,
and
well, certainly.
I've worked with people who did a tattoo in a place that maybe they, like one thing's like me and Gabe like talk a lot when like people come in and they want a tattoo on the side of their
The palm.
the side of their palm or the side of their finger or something like that. And it's like, it's not that it's impossible, but the probability of that tattoo healing well is a lot lower.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a lot lower. So it's like,
that's a tougher conversation when sadly mine feel really well.
right. So it's like,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, they're like, that'll never sound like my palms are in there, dude. So it's like, it's all about what are your expectations of what you're going to get from that.
Correct.
Well, so how much of what we see happening today is just that? I mean, we see individual tattoos being created.
Yeah.
And then you have to explain how that tattoo is going to age.
Yeah.
Like, so one of the conversations I had with you guys, I think Matt actually made, he's like, what do you mean? You don't like the way your tattoos are, like, what's wrong with the expectation of what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And my thing was, I'm like, man, I want to look at a tattoo from 20 years and look at it and go, oh, I did that and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And I can say, like, there's been tattoos I can say, oh shit, fuck, I can say 20 years. I can say 20 years and they look good. They don't look amazing. You know what I mean? But to say that you look at something
But still good is good.
yeah, no, totally. But
After
when you
20
look
years.
when you look at like a Silligeri style tattoo that was done properly, or any one of these old school tattooers that you look at and you go, fuck, that's a nice tattoo. You know what I mean? And I said that. I'm like, dude, I just want my work to look great in a long time. And again, you can't have that with a lot of tattoos that are being done today. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying they're explaining things away in a sense that it's not realistic to today to tomorrow.
That's the thing. And that's where we like both share the same opinion on, because, tattooing is an art form. Yes, it can be very expressive as an art form. And there's a lot of talented people out there. But just because you can do it doesn't mean it's going to work in tattooing, because tattooing is not one of those things that it's like, it's not like a canvas that can be preserved for hundreds of years. Like we live our lives in a blink of an eye and our skin deteriorates and eats away at everything, especially those pigments that we put inside.
Yeah.
So I feel like how your tattoo is structured, it's like you're building a house on it. Like, are you going to build a shit house that's going to be like mad temporary, or are you going to try to like build something stable that's going to kind of break down with it? Maybe
people want to order that house from Temu, bro, and think it's going to last a long time.
No, I know. But it's the I want it now, and I want it now.
I'm gonna jump in on that right now, because a couple of years ago, I was really heavy into woodworking. I set up an Etsy shop. I was selling stuff, I made this table, like little things here and there, right? And I tried to sell some pieces of furniture, some like little woodworking tchotchkes here and there. And I've learned quickly that, similar to how some tattooers don't really care about the love and the work that goes into making something long lasting, people who buy furniture now, especially young people, they don't want to buy the expensive heirloom piece of furniture that they're going to pass down to generations. They'd rather go to Target, buy something for $40, and if it breaks in a month or two, whatever,
Yeah,
they'll
you
replace
just
it.
throw it out.
That's just the mentality of people these days.
No, I get that. And the thing that's crazy is the fact that when we explain to us, when I explain to my clients, like, this is what you can expect over the next 20 years. You know, somebody in the next boat will go, well, this is what's going to happen in the next 10 years. Like, you're going to have 5 years of an amazing looking tattoo. And then you're going to have 5 years of a not so amazing looking tattoo. And then you got 5 years of something you're going to want to cover up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's not necessarily entirely the case with everything, but there's a good chance that's exactly what's going to happen.
I see that as I'm providing a service for future tattooers.
And, well, and that can be said with every one of these fucking Pinterest bullshit
an
tattooers.
economy. If anything, I want my career to go down the way of like that 70s footage of Bigfoot. A bit blurry. No one can really tell what it is.
Where are the bodies?
But no one can deny that it existed.
Well, I wonder why.
Yeah. Hey, I love this subject.
I want to be the first cryptozoological.
Elliot, we got to talk.
Oh, shit, dude.
Now, at the end of this, can we film me walking away in a weird angle?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Man.
We're doing a weird walk.
So like years, you know, it was like maybe like last year, but tattooer did a tattoo on some clients' like fingers, right? It fell out the first time.
go figure.
So it fell out.
No.
And then they did it again and it fell out the second time.
So
Now, by
before
this-
you carry on, the first thing I can think of is Monty Python's Holy Grail.
Love that movie.
All the other kings said I was stupid for building a castle on a swamp. So I built it anyway. Sank into the swamp. So I built a second castle. That sank into the swamp. So I built a third one. That burnt down, fell over, then sank into. But the fourth one stayed up.
Maybe that's what they were going for. But you know, like
The person didn't come back for the fourth tattoo.
What, that was like 4 castles of foundations underneath the swamp?
But the tattooer was like, you know, like after the first one and the second time didn't heal right, then they started blaming the person. They started saying, well, it's their skin and all that. And I was like, nah. And then I was just like, nah, you just didn't put that thing in there.
Sure,
Man.
blame
Blame the swamp.
You didn't put that thing in there, dude. And they were like arguing me back and forth. And I'm like, nah.
But so how long had the person been tattooing?
Long enough for like at least 10 years, you know,
so
long
at that
enough.
point, then that's just delusional.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there comes a point where you do something. Like, I mean, there's been a handful of clients that I've tattooed that I'm like, I look at what I've done on them and I've been genuinely upset. And I've been like, fuck, that should have been better. And then there's other people that you sit back and go, man, there's nothing I can do. Kiss that bitch up to God. It's done. Like there's no getting around it. Yeah, there's really nothing you can do about it. Like that happens. You know what I mean? But you have to sit back and go, was it me or was it them?
Yeah.
And that's a big fucking deal that we deal with as tattooing. And I think what a lot of tattooers are dealing with is the fact that all we see is social media. All we see is what other people are posting. And that's what you expect of your own work.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a big, because I mean, dude, doing this for over 30 years, I still look at what other people are doing and I go, fuck, how are they doing that? And I'm not. How are they using that machine? And I'm not. Mm-hmm. And again, this is 30 years in and I'm still thinking that exact same fucking way. There's no getting around that. And I think that, I mean, anybody who's not thinking that way and just knocking shit out of the park every fucking day, God bless them. You know what I mean? But I don't think that's the norm.
Fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'd like to say that. But dude, the fact of the matter is we live in a world where I can't really say fuck them to everybody. Yeah, he just maybe you can. If you wanted to.
Man, but it's like the things with tattoos, like as you have to, as the creator, the one that had the choice to make that tattoo happen, it was your choice. Like you chose that needle grouping, whatever you know, even just saying, nah, I can't do that. You still made the choice. It's like, yeah, I got you. I'm going to do that tattoo for you, and I got you.
Well, let me ask you a question. How often are you pushing? And again, I don't know about you guys, but I find myself in a situation a lot of times, and I think a lot of tattooers find themselves in this situation where somebody comes in, they want a tattoo, and you have no choice but to say yes. And it comes to a point where it sucks to do it, But and again, I brought this up to you guys. How often are you making money, or are you making art?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a big fucking deal. As a tattooer, you have to come to that conclusion where you're not a tattoo artiste.
Right.
You're a fucking tattooer.
Yeah.
have
And
to
you're
change
making a living. And you said you were a fucking tattooer. A tattoo artist.
Yeah.
You said you were a tattooer.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of
you
the
had a
I got my French beret on that I'll
exactly.
put on
Every now and again, you rock the fucking beret.
Long
but
beret.
it is a big fucking deal, and we have to look at it from that perspective, in the sense that like it's a job.
Yeah.
It is.
And
a job.
and again, the more I do this, the longer I do this, is the realization that it is. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not offended by that. I've never been offended by that. I consider myself an illustrator. An illustrator is a fucking artist who does art as a job. I'm not doing stuff. I'm not creating tattoos to become an artiste. I'm doing art for people.
For people.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I have no problems with that at all. You know what I mean? I'm not some fucking hoity-toity guy that's above what people are asking for.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
And in terms of longevity of tattoos, I've seen amazing like realism style tattoos that I was like, damn, that thing's like old and it looks really good. That person made really good choices everywhere.
Yeah.
I've seen realism tattoos that are 6 months old and I'm like, damn, that's only gonna keep getting worse.
They'd be like, hey, you're gonna need another pass.
Yeah,
you're gonna need another
saying we should see more of that is not me shitting on the artist. It's me basically trying to educate the client on what they can expect.
Yeah.
Because how many times have we had somebody come in and be like, oh yeah, this was done by such and such, and you look at him like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Really?
And you don't want to say anything because you know the artist or whatever. You know, trying to defend the situation.
Yeah.
And you go, I got nothing, man. Good on you. You know what I mean? It's fucked. It's one of those situations. You find yourself in a situation, you're defending somebody you don't want to defend. Under normal circumstances, you'd be like, yeah, you should get your money back because that's fucked.
That's fucked.
And it's not going to get better.
Well,
You know?
I think you said something earlier off mic, and you were talking about, when you first started, you were already an artist, and you were like, I'm coming into tattooing, I'm gonna fucking crush.
I'm going to crush this, yeah.
because I'm an artist. I think we're in a time in tattooing where there's way more people like that are coming straight out of art school, going straight into tattooing. And because we made all the equipment so much easier to access and to perform and to do stuff, people are doing things.
But here's the
that
difference.
with their art background and
nuts.
they
But here's
with
the
no
difference.
tattoo knowledge.
But here's the difference between me and some of them.
Yeah.
Is the fact that I was confronted with Paul Booth, and I came into this business and thinking, oh, I can fucking do this. And keep in mind, this is in 1993, where there weren't a lot of traditional, like amazing tattooers. You know what I mean? Especially for someone who do
I was
nothing.
only 5 years old.
Oh,
10.
fuck. Cocksucker. Fucking fuck. Oh my God. But the fact that you did.
Not that I look it.
Oh, you look every moment.
Oh,
Every
I look
fucking
as old
moment.
as every cigarette I've smoked.
But the fact is, like, I could look at that situation and come into this thinking, like, I'm an artist. I'm going to do something better because I know nothing about tattooing. I had one tattoo or two tattoos, and I came into this thinking, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to crush this. I'm a good artist. I could do this with no background. I had no like proper training, but I looked at myself as being a good artist. But having met Paul 2 weeks in my apprenticeship and going, oh fuck this guy is, and Paul, not for nothing against Paul, but Paul's not a traditional traditional artist. He's not a trained artist. He's not anything. Looking back on him, he's nothing special, but he was talented in a way that I was not.
Yeah.
That I didn't know any better at the time, being a 21-year-old kid. So I looked at it and went, oh fuck! But I could step back and do that. How many people nowadays can do that?
Not many.
And I don't want to say that in a sense that it makes people
but
look
it's
bad.
true though.
But it's true. A lot of these young kids are like, no, I got this.
And that brings us on to entitlement.
Why you got to go there, man? No. But it's true. It's like once that happened, it settled. It literally grounded me. And I went, no, man, you don't know a goddamn thing. You're not the guy, you're not the artist you think you are, and you're entering a fucking realm that you know nothing about. So now you need to sit back and go, okay, what do I do? And that's kind of where I've been. It's like, I just want to do good tattoos that I know are going to last. And I'm going to do them to the best of my ability with a little bit of, well, a lot of my thumbprint on it.
Yeah.
But again, that's that moment where you knew you had to make yourself worthy of the position you were in.
Most certainly.
Like that's
Most certainly. It wasn't a matter of like, wasn't a matter, like whatever I did had to be me, but it had to be a great tattoo.
Yeah.
Or a good tattoo. You know what I mean? And that's something I think maybe some people lack, in the sense that like they look at it from the standpoint of like, I just did, look at that, I crushed it. Crushed it. You know what I mean? But did they? In their eyes, they may have. In their eyes, they did. But what happens in 5 years?
Yeah.
See, that's something I hate with social media and like around back onto that. But even like terminology used and like when people post something, one of my biggest bugbears is that like, look at this sick tattoo I just did. You don't get to call it that. Like you immediately, you did a tattoo.
Yeah.
You might have done a fun tattoo, but you don't immediately have the chops to go, oh, it's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it's really not.
Yeah.
Anyone could look at it and go,
it's all right.
It's sick. Actually look kind of healthy. Not so sick.
Well, we do live in that day and age too, where we're seeing tattoos that are just, they're pretty much like run of the mill at this point. And no matter how great they are.
But it's that ego aspect of like, you could step back and look at your own, like look at what you were doing there and then. Not even like a retrospective in your career. You can look what you're doing at that moment and go, oh, I need to do better.
Well, the funny thing is, like, especially with your fucking posts that you do of like people, mainly, and
the most diplomatic thing.
The shit that comes up is when I talk about stuff that back in the day, a lot of people like, you know, you bitch and complain about the stuff that's being done today, but it's like when you look at what's being done today versus what was being done back then, we're crushing stuff today. And I'm like, yeah, dick.
Are you really?
Well,
though? Like in a
no.
The longevity aspect?
Well,
That's what I'm thinking.
No. Forget about from the longevity.
Yeah.
From the longevity aspect. They are. They're
should
crushing
be.
stuff. Thank you.
It's been like fucking so many years.
Thank you.
I hope it's better.
When you sit back and you go,
True.
yeah, dick,
True.
it's 30 fucking years.
Yeah,
if the kids of today are not doing tattoos better than what I did 30 fucking years ago, then there's a fucking problem. If you're
Correct.
bragging about the fact that like, oh, dude, my shit's so much better today than what you did 30 years ago.
Well, you didn't have to make your own fucking needles,
Thank
buddy.
you. At that point, you sit back and go, yeah, dick. Like, did you not realize that you're literally on the backs of dozens of fucking people? I'm not going to say it's me, but it's literally dozens of fucking people. Of course you're better. We didn't have the internet. We had magazines. Or worse, when I came in, you had to go to somebody to talk to somebody.
We had conversations.
Yeah, you had to actually speak to somebody. You had to get tattooed by them. Like, the best thing that ever happened to me was getting tattooed by Kabzumski, was getting tattooed by Mike Ledger, was getting tattooed by Timothy Hoyer, Chris O'Donnell, fucking Mike, you know, all these guys. Like, it took me learning. You literally opened your fucking phone.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Of course you're better. That's not a bet. And I'm not complaining about that. But the fact that you're acting like somehow, fuck you 30 years ago, fuck you today.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how it works.
It's like Ed Hardy wanted to learn about Japanese tattooing, so he had to go to Japan.
Yeah, exactly.
So he had to go to
Motherfucker
Japan.
had to go to Japan. Motherfucker had to bring people to San Francisco to tattoo in San Francisco.
Right.
That's the fucking point.
Yeah,
like, things happened in a way that you could not imagine back then. Today.
Oh, and it was fucking special. Once you unlock that, you know what I mean? Like, in whatever aspect of tattooing that you brought new to the table, it was a journey to fucking unlock that.
And people had to pluck away at it to get their own bit of it. Now you wake up, you sit at the edge of your fucking bed in your fucking underwear, and you go, huh?
Look at that.
I'm going to do that today.
I'll save that to my board. I'll do that later.
You're literally going to the shop.
Yeah.
Do it.
I do want to reference back a conversation I had with you, Joe, about 4 hours ago about, I think it's going to be kind of calm tonight. I'm not going to...
I'm going to lay back.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real chill.
No, the best part, the whole point of this is like 5 days ago, you reached out to me and said, "Hey man, so we're going away next week, and we need to do 2 episodes tonight." And I was just gonna be like, I'm gonna let Elliot talk. I don't want to overstep him. He's here in the United States. Let him do his thing. We don't need a dog and pony show. And then you're like, well, we can do either 2 separate episodes, or we can do 1 long episode. And I was like, I don't want to sit there and wait for him. I don't want to make him wait for me. So we'll just do 1 long episode.
Long one.
But yeah, again, I'd rather this anyway. This is more fun. But I am trying to be fucking calm, and I think I'm doing a goddamn good job of it. Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. Overall, like, tattooing is one of those things, like, you know, if you've ever taken like a really long trip, right? The best part of the trip is not just when you got there. It was like
cigarette break.
The cigarette breaks, the stops, all the journey, the whole part of the journey. And I think that's the beauty of it. And then later you're like, oh man, that was awesome. That was a great experience, you know? And I think like now you just get to the end. Like
it's still the cigarette break. Finish the line work, go smoke, do like half the shading, get bored, go smoke.
But I'm seeing like the learning of tattooing now. I feel like it's
so that's a thing.
It's going to like
I think
boom.
I think there comes a point, and this is where it gets into personalities. To me, any traveling I've ever done has not been about learning. It's been about hanging out and meeting new people.
Yeah.
And again, this is me personally. This is why I stay in touch with certain people, because there's no reason to stay in touch with this fucking guy. It's more about
shot.
It's more about
I'm a very interesting person outside of tattooing. Thank you very much.
Sorta. It's more about the experience. It's not so much about the learning, I think. And again, maybe this is a fault of my own, where I've not taken when I sat down with Philip Liu in his house, and I walked around, he showed me this art, and we, hanging out with Tatine, and like just doing all this stuff. It wasn't about
what can I get from this?
No, exactly. It wasn't about that.
Yeah.
It was about being in Switzerland. It was about being in his fucking home, shoeless, because it was like, it's November. It's cold as balls outside. We were walking around all day.
You're like dude, one of the cousins showing up.
You walk into his house and he goes, "Oh, if you don't mind taking your shoes off."
Did he then hand you a big purple top hat to wear at the same time?
No. Not even a little.
Oh.
But the idea that you're there, and that was the experience for me. That it didn't matter about tattooing. It was about the experience of meeting this fucking guy. You know what I mean? It was about the experience of just talking to him. It wasn't about getting tattooed. It wasn't about anything. It was about just gleaning a little bit about him.
Yeah.
Joe, I want to bring up, because you mentioned today, and you also mentioned it last week when we were at your place, that every time someone comes to your shop, you do a podcast, you forget to take pictures.
Yes.
But I think that's great. I think that means that you're so enamored and involved in the conversations that you're having with people that you're not even thinking about that.
Dude, there's been so many times where I've been with people and all I kept thinking was, fuck, I wish I had a camera. I wish I could sit down and record this entire event and more people can experience what I'm experiencing. Mm-hmm. And it never happens because I don't want to spoil what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, to me, like, dude, I travel, like, perfect example. Like, dude, 2 nights ago, I'm laying on a fucking air mattress in Tom and Jackie, in Jackie's house, Tom Strom and Jackie Sandilands, in their home. I'm laying on an air mattress, a 56-year-old man, like, for no other reason to hang out with these people and bring.
I'm sleeping great, by the way.
and be with him. And be there, and we didn't take photos till the 3rd day in.
But again, that's the nice thing.
No, exactly. That's the point.
Such a good time.
It's
you gotta
not
save
about,
it in your brain movies, man.
It's not about social media. It's not about the moment. It's about the time you spend with these people. But you can't help but think, like, having you guys up there, like, dude, there was a photo taken of the 3 of us in fucking Barcade by one of my guys, and I'm like, screaming, but it's like it wasn't an actual photo. It's not something. But I would like to think I'm going to remember till the day I fucking die. Chances are not. But
I was going to write a caption that Joe's probably saying, "Go fuck yourself," right here.
It's a very good chance it's kid. But it is one of those things. It's not about social media. It's not about trying to create a moment for other people. It's you in the moment, and you get caught up in that to the point where you don't think about anything else.
Right.
Because nothing else matters. And that's why I think I'm not good at podcasting. That's why I think I'm not good at social media, because I don't care about anybody else. Like, I want everybody else to experience that. I want everybody else to know that exists, that anybody can have it. But the fact is, I don't want to sacrifice my time with individuals like yourselves.
Your own experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want that to fuck my time up, because I want to enjoy this.
Right.
Like, everything I've done for the last 32 years has literally been, since I've been tattooing, has literally been growing. You know what I mean?
It's like you go to a concert and you see all the guys with their cameras up filming the concert, and they're watching the concert through their phone instead of actually seeing the band play.
And I've done it myself.
Yeah.
And in the back of my mind,
You're
I'm
like, what am I doing?
Why are you wasting your fucking...
You're not going to watch this fucking video later.
Dude, I have photos in my camera that all I keep thinking of is, like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first time I went to Europe with my wife, like my girlfriend at the time. But I remember the first time I went to Europe with my wife and thinking, this is incredible. I can look back on that moment right fucking now. It doesn't matter what photos were taken, but I can remember that moment. And God, Lord fucking willing, I will remember that for the rest of my fucking days. But that's something that nobody will ever take from you. And that's something I try to, like, I guess with this bullshit, with all the cameras and crap, you try to, like, instill in people and be like, dude, this is on you. You want this? Fucking get it.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to stop you. Everybody I talk to who's been tattooing for more than 20 years has been like, go out there, fucking do it. Make this fucking happen for yourself. Like, when I first started tattooing 2 years in, the guy I worked with was like, you can do this anywhere in the fucking world. You can go anywhere in the fucking world and tattoo, make a fucking living, or make enough money to stay wherever the fuck you end up. And I've been doing that. You've been doing that. You've been doing that. Yeah. Well, I don't know about you guys, but like anybody can do this. And that's one of those situations where we tell people, yes, do it. Having said that, all you motherfuckers have been doing this for less than 2 fucking years. Go fuck yourself. Go fucking stay in your mom's basement, whatever. Like, we don't need to fuck up this. But my point being is just like, you can do all this shit. You need to do it. Yeah. And that's the memorable part of this fucking business. And that's a big fucking deal. And that's, everybody says they're fucking thankful, they're grateful, whatever. I am too. I just don't need to tell everybody that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't need to tell everybody that. I am that every fucking day of the fucking week. I don't need to say to everybody out there that this is the best thing that's ever fucking happened.
Have a blessed day.
I will hope. We just came from the South, so that's a thing. But I mean, I'd like to think that you're never going to see me shed a tear on stage telling people how much I enjoy this fucking business.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people in the fucking trade and in all the bullshit that's going to fucking act like that's what you need to do to sell it. You don't need to do anything to sell this.
But I, for one, would happily start a GoFundMe to see you cry on stage.
Never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
Kickstarter.
Never going to happen.
Kickstarter.
Never gonna happen. But that's one of those things. I'm like, I don't think that that's something that needs to be done. Like, if anybody who knows anything about this business, legitimately knows anything about this business, they know what this business means.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I tell somebody this is the best thing that's ever happened to me, they're going to look at it and go, he's not lying. He's not lying. And that's something I don't think that needs to be sold. I don't think anybody needs to say this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it's absolute fucking bullshit, because the fact of the matter is I've sat in on tattooers that have done that. I've sat in on illustrators. I've sat in on fucking fine artists. I've sat on people that have literally gone up there on stage, talk shit, and literally shed a tear. This is a fucking seminar, workshop, fucking whatever that they've done a dozen times. Like, I don't know about you guys. I've talked about the death of my mom a bunch of times to friends. I've never shed a tear. That's not saying I don't miss her. I miss her every fucking day. You're not going to see me shed a tear for it because I've already done that.
Yeah.
And you don't need to see that. So you mean to tell me that your business, your fucking your trade, whatever it is the fuck that you think means so much to you, you're gonna fucking cry every time it matters? Bullshit.
Yeah.
This is Hollywood, dude.
Cry on command.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I want, like, we're tattooers, man.
I too can cry for money,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't cry for
but
money.
no one's paying me for starters.
Now, I'll be honest. I will admit,
Any
like,
takers?
when I did the TV shows, I said, "You pay me to do it, I'll do it.
There you go.
If you ain't paying me, you get me.
No, you're not.
That's all
If
you
I
got.
start a Kickstarter, my stretch goal, you get a single tear of mine.
In a jar.
Yeah, genuine tear.
Little tiny jar. That'd be kind of funny.
It'd be dust.
So back in England, let's talk about England.
God.
Let's talk about what's happening across the pond.
How bad is it by you guys?
About as bad as it is here.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's oversaturated, too many studios, too many people, not enough customers.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So,
that's okay.
so let me ask a question. How many people have you seen come over to the United States? Because in the United States, I think we can all say we basically rode the wave as long as you possibly could. A lot of Europeans came here thinking, well, it's dead here. Let's go to the United States. How long do you think it's going to last? Like all these cats who've been coming here, and I'm not knocking anybody, by the way. This is not me shitting on anybody from Europe
No
who came to the United States.
Fuck you, Joe.
We've already talked
Exactly.
about this on this trip. It's this perception of the US and the UK. I think with this, the US has the whole American dream, you know, thriving economy. From Instagram, from social media, from certain people, you get this idea that it's this like booming industry with tattooing. Same with the UK. People move to the UK from all over Europe.
Yeah.
With this idea that there's a better life ahead. Fifle goes fucking west. And then they get there.
And they're like, oh,
Pull that
shit.
one out of your ass.
Five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Five.
Damn.
Fifle's on the fucking street.
Yeah.
It's not good. And it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's
Same everywhere.
I don't think there's a single country that is doing phenomenally well.
Right.
at
I
tattooing.
think what's happening in the United States is it took so long for it to hit us
Yeah.
that a lot of Europeans came here thinking like, oh, it's great in the United States.
I think we're only just catching up with you because we were doing fucking great. We were actually looking at every other country and maybe 2 years ago that like, oh, it's going great here.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Well, dude-
And then suddenly it went, oh.
Well, dude, U.S. economists were just like, dude, we were ahead of the curve. We're crushing it. Like we're doing so much better than everybody else. But it's not until like now that people realize like, oh shit, it finally caught up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, I don't want to sound like like the wet pants, but the fact of the matter is
the end is
we're
nigh.
not doing great. Like things have caught up. I think
Things
the
have
amount of
caught up.
tattooers that are coming in here have affected us. And again, it's not just the people coming here; it's also the people that are already here.
Yeah.
The economy's not what it used to be. Like, I mean, again, I think people who are doing well are doing well. I'm not going to knock anything for that. I think it's the God's honest truth. I think people are trending. I think people are doing well because of who they are. I think age,
Which I do think that comes into a little bit, but I think what we talked about with blind, dumb luck
Yes.
is
A little bit of luck in there.
massively
Yeah. A little bit of luck.
dumb luck has got a lot to do with it. I think being a hometown hero has got a lot to do with it. You guys
Huge.
have done stuff with individuals that are like New Yorkers that have never left and they're doing their own thing, which
Yeah.
is killer. You know what I mean? So, which is killer. That's great. But I think you also have age has a lot to do with it. Me being an older tattooer, I'm the oldest guy in my shop. I'm the deadest guy in my shop. And it's got nothing to do with a quality of work. My work is as good as anybody I work with. Fact of the matter is, people would rather get tattooed by a younger person, would rather get tattooed by a younger tattooer. You know what I mean? That's a thing. That's a legitimate fucking thing.
I agree. A lot of my clients that maybe I had, 6 to 10 years ago, like now they have 3 kids and they have like a lot more going on in their lives, and they don't have as much, like, because of the economy, and they don't have as much, just spare income to just go like, they're like, they already have 2 sleeves, or like, and the next step would be to embark on a back piece or something that's huge and then a lot more expensive. And they're like, damn, dude, I got to worry about my kid going to college and blah, and it's
And they
like
despair.
and it's real, it's real shit.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
tattooing is a luxury item.
It is a
And
luxury
We
item.
cannot begrudge anyone for going, oh, shit, I've got a really high energy bill to pay.
yeah,
Can't get tattooed.
can't get that too.
Can't fucking eat
Well,
a
so the
tattoo.
crazy thing is, 5 years ago,
It wouldn't have mattered.
Thank you very much.
It would not have
People
mattered.
would literally be on the cusp of, they'd have an ounce of oil in the oil tank of their fucking home.
Yep.
And it was a combination of either paying for the oil or getting tattooed. And they'd be like, I'm getting
tattooed.
See, I do
Fuck it.
think that might be a big fundamental difference between the US and the UK, because we've been going through this for like the entire time I've been tattooing.
Yeah.
People will always prioritize their commitments outside of a luxury item.
Oh, fuck no. In the United States?
Oh yeah, no. In the UK, from my experience, I can't speak for everyone, but it's always been the case that I've had plenty.
In the
of people
US,
cancel
up
me, mobile
until
phone bill or
in the US, up until the last couple of years, fuck realistic.
Yeah.
Fuck I need oil. I need fucking food on the table. Fuck all that shit.
That kind of sums
I got a
up
credit card.
straight off the bat.
I got a credit card.
I can make all
I just
that
opened its new credit line.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I'll
can
be
make
cold and hungry this week, but I got a sick tattoo.
I gotta say,
Exactly.
It's fine.
That is a legitimate thing. It was a legitimate thing. I don't think so much anymore.
No,
I
not
think
anymore.
now, I think that things are finally starting to crash here in the States.
Yes.
Well, not even just starting. I think it's been the last 2 years where things are starting to crash. I've been bitching about this for the last few years, and people just like, oh, you're fucking crazy. I'm like, really? Cool, whatever.
All right.
I think we're in a really weird place just because, even though, you just said, things are starting to crash, yet when if you turn, any financial news, markets, all-time highs. If you think of the sentiment of people, they are more bullish than ever right now. Everybody has the most expectation that next year's going to be even bigger, better.
You know what the worst part
Look at
of this is?
Bitcoin today. It was up to
Yes.
103,000, 104,000.
Yes.
I've
Exactly.
also heard the interesting thing of it's maybe a generational thing that a younger generation aren't as inclined to get tattooed because
I think that's huge.
they've watched their parents get tattooed and it's not fucking cool.
You know what?
It shifts. Things shift.
I do
in
agree with that.
generations.
I do agree with that to a point. I do.
But you look at the kind of tattoos they're getting. That's the big difference as well.
That's the
Yes.
problem. These people are stupid. Tell me they're not fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Cyber sigilum is a thing.
It's a thing.
I was going to go more with the guys we tattooed wanted a sleeve, a leg sleeve, a back piece.
No, now you got pricks getting I want a piece here.
But that's the
I want a
point.
piece here.
They're not
I want a
willing
piece here.
to-
And then 6 months later, can you make it a sleeve? No.
Well, no,
I
that's
can't.
for you know as well as I do. That's not the case. They're getting those little bits because they don't want those big tattoos their parents got.
Because they're
It's
fucking ignorant.
But it's a generational difference.
No. There comes a point where a child needs to be said, wake the fuck up.
Get that tat.
That's going to be another fucking thing that's going to...
That's going to be taken out.
I'm going to be
context.
paying that one for the next fucking 3 months.
But you know the point.
I don't care what it looks like in 5 years, Joe.
I want it now.
Yeah. I want my spaced out
You know where I'm coming.
crap
No,
tribal.
I know where you're going. I do know where you're going. And the shame of it is, you're right, and it's fucked up because nobody wants to listen.
But we're also coupled with that. All the people we were tattooing have had all the tattoos they want to fucking get. You're finished.
Yeah.
How many backs and sleeves have you finished over the last few years?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
guessing
big
quite a
time.
fucking
Yeah,
few.
big
Yeah.
time. That's the problem.
They don't.
Most of my
They don't
other
want
clients
to
are done. You're still young, so you guys are still got people that haven't gotten to that age. Most
not
of my
that young.
clients. Yeah, you're young enough. How old are you?
38.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
And you weirdly still look younger than me.
Man, I talk a lot to my my girlfriend's dad, and he's in his 60s, and we talk about investing a lot.
In his 60s. He's a couple of years older than Joe.
He's in his 60s, and we talk a lot about investing and stuff, and he always tells me, he's like, man, I wish I could be your age. I could start investing. And all the time, I'm like, man, I wish I was 20 something so I could be investing
Right.
Because
Christ, I wish I was retired.
there's always,
Christ, I wish I was your age.
Yeah.
Almost dead.
because there's always the idea of man, if I knew what I knew now, just a couple of years ago, I'd be in a better place.
So it's funny. That's one of the things I've often asked tattooers, what would you recommend? What would you tell tattooers? And I can't really say it to you guys because you're fucking young. But I've said it to individuals I've said it to certain individuals, and I'm not going to say they were, but I was like, what would you tell somebody now about when you were growing up and what you know where you are now? And most of it was physical and health issues.
Right.
And people were not willing to say anything because they were afraid of body shaming. They were afraid of being I don't want to exclude anybody. But to me, I look at it as like, no, dude, like that's when you need to tell.
That's when you need to say it.
Because not for nothing, it's like you're not body shaming. You're not putting somebody down. You're just saying like, listen, man, now's the time you can make a difference. Make that difference because you're not going to have that opportunity later. And trust me, I'm saying this having bounced back and forth and know full well, fuck yeah, there's a difference. Like you have time 20 years ago than you do, more time you had 20 years ago than you have now.
Yeah.
But a lot of people freak out about that because you don't want to be the one to say that. And
so I'd like to piggyback on that. All I want to say to everyone out there, younger tattooers, with that thing, smoke more, it suppresses your appetite.
It suppresses your appetite, but it takes 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, it's a win-win.
Yeah, you will go to the grave feeling better body-wise. Just drop dead. Fuck.
Hey, it's 20 years less of posting into the void.
Not for nothing. Good point. It's a good point. Solid point. So, but yeah, that is a big fucking thing. I think that's something that's not considered a lot of time. I mean, we worry about the moment. We're not worrying about the fucking long term of things.
Sure. And I think, now looking back at a lot of things that I did, like back when I was like a young tattooer, I was like, why did you go to the strip club so much?
Okay, first of all,
why did you do that? What was the point of that?
Dude,
What's the point of that?
I so wanted to fuck himself so hard.
Why were those $600 just thrown into the air?
Dude, I put so many girls through college, bro. It's ridiculous.
Dude, we did that before I started tattooing at the bar. Going out and eating chicken wings and pints of beer, dude.
Oh my God.
It's funny. I remember going to, I just literally went to a place. There's a place called Croxley Ales on Long Island in Rockville Center. Amazing place. We literally put fucking waitresses through fucking college there. We went there so much, and we weren't fucking degenerates. We would go in there drinking whiskey, drinking beers, and fucking eating wings, like nothing more than that. But it was like every week you just did your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just knowing full well where this ends up.
Yes.
And that's kind of what I was saying before. Waking up on the floor, like on an air mattress in somebody's fucking house at 56 years old, you go, man, I'm having a great time. You sit back and go, what are you?
Are you though?
Like, are you?
Really?
Oh, but, we had a good time.
No, and again, I would never take away. I would never take it away.
We watched Twisters.
Oh, God. Now you got to make it. You got to bring it down to reality.
Don't make it weird.
That's weird. Let's just make it real. Making it real. It's like really.
Do you want something thoroughly depressing to follow up with?
We made hot toddies. We watched Twister.
I wasted all this money on strip clubs and whatever, and it sounds like a real party thing, and everyone has their little habits. Do you know how many houses I could have bought with the cigarettes I've smoked in the last 21 years?
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
So don't feel bad about it. Because I'm going to waste so many houses.
I'm going to keep burning these houses up.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things you look back on. And it's funny because when you talk to guys like Gil Monty and Paul Booth and all those old guys, like you sit back and you never ask those guys. And not for nothing, those motherfuckers, not so much Paul, but Gil, that cocksucker has burned some fucking bridges. Yeah. That guy has left like continents behind him. You know what I mean? And good on him. I mean, he did it and he's still around, which is rare. I mean, that's a solid thing. But that's on the backs of a lot of people of today.
Yeah.
And that's something to be, I think that's something a lot of tattooers need to consider, is the fact that if you live your life as a tattooer as an island, you are going to be fucked come the long term. Right. Towards the end. And I think that it's the relationships that you make as you grow old and you do these things, that it's really going to be the support system that you want. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I've given a lot of money over the years to individuals that have been injured or grown old or had problems in this business, because not for nothing, I could be that guy.
Yeah,
like
I thought the same thing.
I've had people that have been like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, dude, who knows if in 10 years I'm going to be that guy?
Yeah.
Like, how do you not give, knowing full well that could be you in 10 years, 15 years. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's necessarily the way you should be looking at it and why you do things. Like I truly know these people and I want to help them. If it's somebody I don't know, I'm obviously not going to help them just because.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But if it's somebody I know, like, yeah, of course I'm going to reach out to them and help them. You know what I mean? That's something you would just do for any friend of yours. Yeah. And the fact that we live in a time where you can do that for anybody that you kind of know.
Yeah.
Is a big fucking deal. That's important.
For sure.
I think community, and that's the thing. Gunnar mentioned this in a podcast of yours a while back, where it's like it's community, and it's something we're lacking in right now.
Huge.
And we're very separated.
A lot of disconnect between.
Well, we're disconnected, we're separated, but we're not. You know what I mean? I think it's more about ego, and it's more about cliques, and it's more about like individuals than it ever has been. It always had that in it. You know what I mean? But it's more so now than ever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I think now, the overall, the main thing that's fucking people up is money. You know what I mean? We live in a day and age where we're being ruled by corporate rule, and it's basically, it's taken over this business. All these businesses that have like all these tattoo supply companies, they're all being taken over by fucking corporations. And we're following along like fucking mindless fucking rats.
Let's be like, what are we gonna?
And we were talking about today about the price of a tattoo machine. You know, like when I started, like if you paid, $250 for a tattoo machine, you're like, oh shit, I got a good machine. You know, now it's like, think about what a good machine costs you now.
$45, $25, or
build.
better yet,
To build.
I mean,
To build.
Yeah,
Amazon.
Yeah. No, the best part is I started using coils. Like after you guys had come into town, like I had it in my mind that I got to get back into it. I want to pick my coils up again, whatever. And it was like never wanting to like just spend the time an afternoon to go through my machines and go, okay, I got to change the rubber ground, the O-rings on this. I got to change the, whatever. He came into town the week after you guys. And I'm like, I had a day off. He was tattooing all day at the shop. So I'm like, fuck, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to fuck with these machines. So I pull out all these rotaries. All these coils. And I pulled out four liners, 3 shaders. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this. And I clean them all up. Just like fucking ground my contact point.
Yeah, making sure everything's...
Changed my fucking O-rings because everything
pick
was
that little desiccated bit of rubber.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pulled the fucking rubber fucking O-rings out and fucking replaced them. And he went out with a bunch of friends of mine from up north, and I had a tattoo all day. So I set up 2 liners, 2 shaders, all coils, and fucking absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. And it was one of those things I'm like, these machines, and those machines are from 98, 99. I didn't use brand new machines.
Just waiting to be ran again.
Yeah, exactly. I had machines that have literally been sitting around for the fucking late 90s and early 2000s. And not one of them needed to do anything than change a fucking rubber fucking O-ring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And one of the machines I didn't have an O-ring for, so I just ran it as is. Like the O-ring was hanging off it, and I just fucking turned it up a little bit. And the machine crushed it. And it was one of those things I'm like, yeah, this is what rotaries will never be.
Yeah.
Because once a rotary takes a shit, that rotary needs to go.
It's done.
Yeah, it's in the trash.
So that's one of those situations where younger tattooers today may not realize that when you say a machine will last a fucking lifetime, it's meant. Because those machines are 20 years old and they're fucking still crushing it. You know what I mean? So and that's my whole thing. And again, like even now we're talking about, like we talked about community, you know what I mean? Like trying to do something positive. I'm trying to do something positive right now. I'm trying to create this whole fucking new school bullshit tattoo flash. I'm calling it a pop-up. It's really not, but I'm hoping to do something really creative. We did something called years ago called the Quick and Painful, which was a pop artist tattoo thing. Mm-hmm. But now I'm going to try to do it with new school tattooers. I was kind of like labeled a new school tattooer back in the day. So now I'm going to try to reach out to a bunch of old and new school tattooers.
Yeah.
Create a bunch of flash and bring it on the road. I'm going to try to do some like tattoo shop pop-ups. Cool. And bring it on the tattoo on the road and do it at conventions.
Cool.
Yeah. And hopefully I'll be able to, make that, bridge of younger and newer tattooer and do something really kind of fun and creative and kind of bridge the gap between old and new, because not for nothing, I think that's been the biggest issue with our industry right now is the fact that we've got nothing but clicks, and that needs to stop. And I will admit, I've been a proponent of being fuck you, I'm on my side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll be the first one to admit that. I am not good at not having chosen sides. Not intentionally.
Yeah.
It's just the person I am.
Yeah.
And we've had loads of conversations on the road about this, of trying to bridge that generational divide and the best sort of approaches and ways to it, and it's going to be a dumb luck to find the way to do it.
It's going to be an uphill. It's going to be an uphill battle.
It is going to be an uphill battle. Yeah. But
I think
positive steps.
Yeah, I think it's a positive thing, and I think we need to do that. Like whether it be conventions, which is a big thing too. I think like right now, conventions aren't necessarily about. It's not about great tattooing. It's about the promoter making as much money as he can by filling up, like fucking 180 booths, 250 booths, 500 booths. I don't know, 2,000 booths. If everybody's been
getting the people there for the artists to tattoo them is secondary to
exactly, and that's not what it should be about. It's the idea of getting a bunch of great artists together and bringing people through the door.
No, it's about trophies and awards.
Dude, exactly. Well, there's that.
Trophies and awards.
Dude, I remember
let's create new categories so we can give out more trophies so there can be more award-winning artists.
Nothing is ever going to erase sitting down with Mickey Violetto in London, my second year doing that show.
Enough alcohol will.
Oh, no, definitely not. Definitely not. No, there's not enough alcohol in the world. But sitting down with that guy, I was with Rodney Raines, my wife, Alethea, Lisa Barnes, and a handful of other people. And Mickey came into the hotel room, the restaurant, and he was by himself. And we're all sitting there, and I said, I was like, hey, man, like, thank you so much for inviting us, blah, blah, blah. It's my second year. Second year doing the convention. And I'm like, hey, man, we're just hanging out if you want to sit with us. And he did. He sat with us. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there talking. And at that time, Mickey's English was fair. It was better than fair. It was good. And I was like, hey, man, thank you so much for having us. This is amazing. Like, so we got our booths comped to us. And he said, and I thanked him for that because it was in the beginning of my career, that was rare that you got a booth comp to you. And he said, oh man, that's the least I can do. You guys are coming here from the United States. So the least I can do is pay for your booth because realistically, my job is to bring people through the door. And that's what I do. I can guarantee bringing X amount of people through the door. The booths don't matter. We all know that's not the same.
Yeah, that's
not the way they
that's not the way. Because promoters are making all their money off the booth.
Off the booths now.
And that's not what that's about.
Yeah.
So that was one of those situations that when he said that, I'm like, that's kind of what this is about. Like promoters should be bringing people through the door. We should, and again, having said that, it is incumbent upon the artists to kind of spread the word and get those
help work together.
Exactly. It's exactly work together.
And in light of the last few years, that's maybe not the best example to give.
Because then that convention is no different than just, let's say, that large convention is just one huge guest spot for a bunch of, what I mean? So it's like, it should be, like you said, it should be about getting new people and customers to be coming into the door.
So having said that, and that's a good point, guest spot, okay? Having said that, his thing was the aggravation of people who booked themselves before the show opened up. Because the idea is he's bringing tens of thousands of people through the door.
Yeah.
If you're booked, let's say there's fucking 700 tattooers at that show and half of them are booked up, that means tens of thousands of people are only going to have a handful of people to get tattooed by.
Right.
You know what I mean? So therein lies the problem. I think the whole thing is broke. And the thing is, it's never going to change because tattooers are still going to want to do conventions. Promoters are still going to want to put on conventions. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is, everybody's going to want to make money.
Yeah.
Until somebody steps back and says, no, no, no. And there's only a handful of shows. There's only a handful of people who get to do shows. And then tens of thousands of people get to go to those shows.
And those handful of people are doing shows because they're doing shows right.
Dude, we were looking at we were looking at where I was today. I was telling him the amount of conventions that are happening between now and the end of the year.
That article's fucking disgusting.
It's 4 fucking weeks.
16
There's like,
conventions,
right? It's 16 conventions. I think
in
8 of them are happening in Germany.
Yeah.
There's there's literally over 20 conventions happening in the next 4 weeks.
Wow.
Worldwide.
That's incredible.
And that's discounting the week before Christmas.
Wow.
So realistically,
Oh yeah,
3 weeks.
that's a good point. There
3
is
weeks.
only one convention happening with the last day being on the 22nd.
Which one is
It's
that?
wild.
I don't remember. I think it was Germany. I think it was Germany. Go figure.
Really?
Well, that sounded horrible. Sorry. But that's the crazy thing. That's actually happening. So you sit back and you go, okay, we're our own worst fucking enemy.
Yeah.
So how do you change that? I honestly don't think you can.
You can't.
And I'll be
I don't
honest
think
with you, you can't
either.
change it.
You can't change it.
The only thing I'm excited for is to see Joe Capobianco judge a cyber sigilation contest.
Oh man.
Who here would not want to be a fly on the wall? Of a fucking
That'd be
Yeah.
so good.
Dude, when I judged the first Brooklyn show, I remember walking around and people being like, "Oh my god, that's an amazing tattoo," and I was just like, "Ask how old that tattoo is." And that was the whole thing. It was just like I was like the old man that was like slamming down reality. Like, no, it's not a real tattoo.
You were dipping your finger in everyone's batter.
Oh, dude,
You're like,
7 months old, not shit tattoo.
Derivative.
That's a shit. It's not even derivative. Not even derivative. Just shit tattoo. 7 years old. Fuck off.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Although I will.
Now
I'll
this.
Now this is art.
Funnily enough, we watched 4 episodes of Always Sunny last night.
Credit to Always Sunny, by the way.
Loved it.
Frank, genius.
So, Elliot, I want to ask you, what's one thing that you would like to see change in your neck of the woods?
Honestly, I don't really know what I want.
Yeah,
I don't actually think I can answer that in
that's a fair question.
in an
That's a fair
honest,
answer. I mean, saying that's a fair
legitimate way.
answer.
Here's why he's the wrong person to ask that. Because he doesn't care about the overall thing.
No, I don't.
And you
No.
barely care about yourself.
That's very true.
I feel like you really care right now.
That's very
I'll be honest with you, dude. He is literally like, so when we did the podcast with him last week, he made the comment about, I made the comment about dumb fucking luck. And I said to him, I'm like, dude, you really have been that guy. You're the guy of dumb fucking luck. And he's like, yeah. And the funny thing was, he sat back and he went, fuck, that's really got me thinking. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you just straight up said that everything that's happened to me is dumb fucking luck. That you know. Well, because you know people, we all know people that have tried their damnedest.
Well, so with that there is an element of guilt of I could
that's what I was trying to
try
point.
harder.
That's the point I was trying to make.
And I could try harder. And you're right. I haven't given much of a shit about my career in any sense or any of it. Like I am the worst person to ask with a wider tattoo industry or world. Like I've been saying to Joe, the only reason I want to hit 20 years is because it sounds cooler to bitch out at 20 years than it does 17 years. The fact is, I'm on my way out, and I don't really care if the younger generation fucking eats itself or not.
But here's
Like,
the fucked up
it's-
part of thinking that way, and this is me personally. There's no guarantee you're going to make it to that 20 years.
No, there's no guarantee.
Exactly, but that's the point.
I may not.
Exactly, that's the point. That's the fucked up point. You got all these little minnows fucking swimming upstream. Look at, I got that motherfucker. I'm going to eat his ass. That's the fucked up thing, dude. So you really do have to watch your back.
Oh, see, I don't even care with the tattooing anymore. As long as I can.
We're not talking about tattooing anymore, man. Like, because the fact of the matter is, like I said, most of the friends of mine that are illustrators, like these motherfuckers work their asses off you.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Which is why I've always had an issue with tattooers in our trade that are all like, I don't want to fucking tattoo anymore.
But I think again, this is the difference what we talked about. Like for me right now, what I'm going through career wise is just as exciting as when I first started tattooing. And now I've had that epiphany with it. This is going to be a fucking great year going ahead.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have nothing. We talked about in the car projects I want to work on, like the drive to do it. Cannot fucking wait to feel like I'm doing something again.
Yeah.
And let's face it, I haven't made good fucking money from tattooing in a long time anyway, so it doesn't really fucking matter if I don't make good money from illustration. I'm making enough to live. I don't have a crazy lifestyle. I have no like fucking drug issues, no like addictions outside of smoking.
Yeah.
Which granted it's getting very expensive. Maybe time to cut down. Who knows? I won't. I'll pay for it one way or another. I'll find a way.
And then
But for me, it's an exciting time. But I don't really care enough about where it's going. Like, I care enough for the sakes of my friends. I don't want to see people I know and love in the industry, like good friends I've made, struggle and have a hard time with it. But for me, I'm kind of done. I'm out.
Yeah.
And yeah,
We've heard a lot of people say that same thing.
Yep.
yeah, and I'm never going to say that. Like I don't
Yeah.
don't begrudge it. It gave me that I wouldn't be sat right here right now if it wasn't for tattooing.
Yeah.
Tattooing has paid my way since I was fucking 18.
Yeah.
It's paid my way, and I'll give it like all the time and love and reverence. So one of my big things is with the issues I am having, as I've talked to you about, I am not doing the quality of tattooing that I used to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not through laziness. It's not through...
I talked to you guys about this.
It's not through change of style. It's because I cannot do it.
Physically. You're having issues that prevent you from doing the things you want to do.
And it's no longer fair for me to carry on the way that I would be to my customers.
Yeah.
It's not fair on them. It's not fair to charge them that kind of money.
But the thing with that comes from the fact that like when and I say this as an aged tattooer, is the fact that like we look at situations where it's like, yeah, man, we changed. Like I watched Jack tattoo at the Norfolk convention, and well, he didn't actually tattoo. He did a bunch of drawings for people. But these are guys that are doing stuff to the best of their ability at their moment, and people are getting tattooed by them based on the fact that they want to catch a piece from that individual.
Yeah.
But the individual circumstance is the thing that's different. I'm in a situation where I might be able to sustain myself outside of tattooing. Is it then really fair of me to take money from something that I'm sustaining myself through, to take money from customers?
Oh,
to do a subpar job?
You're not doing a subpar job.
But I will get there. I'm noticing the decline, and I will wind up doing a subpar job.
It really depends on how far along you are. You're 20 fucking years younger than me, so go fuck yourself.
Different being. I've got issues that are further advanced that are outside of my control.
Okay, I get it, but there comes a point where you create...
So I get a tremor go through my thumb after about 3-4 hours of tattooing. A tremor that I cannot control. Now, we laugh and joke about it all you like, and you can say I'm 20 years younger.
We laugh all the time.
Your hand isn't having that giant, uncontrollable fucking tremor. So normally, I can concentrate and keep it under control. But what happens on the day that I can't? When I'm tattooing a hand or a neck? When they've got a fucking like...
Then you start doing cyber sigilism. And I think that's a perfect way to...
Dude, have you guys heard? Yo, Elliot's doing cyber sigilism.
Actually,
bro, this shit is dope.
I'd rather just be accused of having a stroke.
I'd rather just be fucking shit.
All right, do you want to end on a real...
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's wrap it up, guys, because if not, we're going to just keep drinking and talking here.
No, I was actually...
And don't forget, Elliot Wells invented cyber sigilism some 17 years ago.
Yep.
Well, you know what's funny? Okay.
Pay me lots of money for fuck all.
I don't even want to mention the cat's name. The whole Lau... what Lau mentioned the other day about the whole Scratcher cat. The guy from fucking...
You can open that box.
I don't know if I want.
I don't want to do it. I'm not. I'm out. I'm checking out that one.
We'll save that for the after show.
I'm not fucking touching that.
Oh god, this cat's.
I know you want to. I know you want to.
I do and I don't.
I don't
want
to give him. I don't want to give him. Dude, it's like.
I honestly. I want to.
It's like the
I think you should leave it.
It's like the boogeyman. You don't want to give him any power.
If you say his name 3 times in a mirror, he'll cancel.
So maybe don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, guys, thank you so much for joining us for another week. And thanks so much, Elliot, for joining us.
A pleasure.
Joe, always a pleasure having you.
If you want to know about the boogeyman, you gotta wait around for the fucking Patreon.
DM Joe.
But make sure that you are liking this video because it does help us out a lot.
Now, I'm going to put Joe's cell phone number on my story afterwards if you...
So you'll catch that. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Peace.